It's the morning of March 31st, 1986. This Boeing 727 passenger airliner operated by Mexicana Airlines is on its way home to Mexico City. The flight has come all the way from Chicago, operating as Mexicana Flight 185. It's only the beginning of a very busy day for this aircraft, which will continue onward with a round trip to Los Angeles later in the day. It hasn't all been smooth flying though. The plane has collected a series of recent maintenance write-ups that have been cause for some headaches. The pilots have recorded a strong vibration on the throttle controls. There's discrepancies between the pilot altimeters, one of the levers to operate the aft air stairs is apparently missing, and last night, the previous crew, upon arriving in Chicago, noticed that the wheel brakes were uneven when they got on the ground. This prompted a maintenance team to take a closer look. Overnight, on top of any regular maintenance upkeep, it appears that they bled the brakes as a method of addressing this reported unevenness. They signed off on the work, returning it to service this morning for the flight to Mexico City, to which Flight 185 arrives uneventfully at 12 minutes past 7 in the morning. The outgoing crew continue to lament the aircraft's maintenance woes in the logbook, though it isn't clear if they experienced the same braking problem as the previous flight. They shut the flight deck door behind them, readying the plane for the next crew, who are scheduled to operate Mexicana Flight 940 to Los Angeles later in the morning. In the meantime, Mexicana's own maintenance personnel move in on the aircraft. What we are looking at here with the plane itself is a 1981 manufactured Boeing 727-200, line number 1748. This makes this one of the later produced examples of the type built by Boeing. For Mexicana, the 727 became the backbone of their fleet. They were the largest operator of the type outside of the United States and were even the only airline to fly the unique JATO option. However, this plane was not one of those. Registered as X-Ray Alpha Mike Echo Mike, this aircraft was originally supposed to be delivered to Braniff International. However, they ceased operations in 1982 before it could be delivered, allowing Mexicana to pick it up instead. They named the aircraft after the Mexican state of Veracruz. Veracruz has performed over 10,000 flights, accumulating a total of 13,675 flight hours by the morning of March 31st, 1986. As the plane sat there in Mexico City, a maintenance crew set about performing a number of corrective measures to address what had been noted in the logbook. With regards to the throttle controls, they serviced the throttle mechanisms and performed static runs of engines 1 and 2. No abnormalities were found. On the altimeters, they drained the 727's static water traps and requested that the next crew observe their performance on the next journey. The missing air stairs lever will have to stay as is for now. When they got round to the plane's brakes, the last crew had recorded that a brake assembly stem for wheel number 2 on the left side main landing gear was missing. To our understanding, maintenance crews did check the brake assembly here and found the condition of the brakes to be within satisfactory limits. Both the hydraulic and alternate pneumatic braking systems appear to be working. The hydraulic pressure in System B, which pressurizes the hydraulic brakes, is a little higher than the usual 3000 psi, clocking in at around 3,150. Mechanics released the plane recognizing this, and with no further irregularities, they wrote the plane up as ready to fly. In the terminal, the airport is choked with travelers as it's the peak of the busy Easter travel season. Passengers are checking in for Mexicana Flight 940 to Los Angeles. Mexicana is the second largest airline in Mexico and is one of the oldest airlines in the entire world. In the 1980s, the airline found some success in the booming Mexican vacation market, offering holidaymakers north of the border cheaper air travel to destinations such as Cancun, Acapulco, and Puerto Vallarta. Flight 940, Mexico City to Los Angeles via Puerto Vallarta and Mazatlan, is amongst their most popular routes, and to keep up with demand during the busy Easter holidays, Mexicana is running additional flights, running their planes around the clock as seats are filling up fast. It's another full flight this morning as 159 passengers have turned up at the airport for the flight. Most passengers are Mexican. Some are American, with other nationalities being a mix of Canadian, French, and Swedish. Passenger Kirsten Ennefelt is amongst that group of 4 Swedish nationals. She's a counselor at the Swedish Embassy in Mexico City and is traveling today with her sister and 2 children. Sitting elsewhere in the cabin is Agustin Duarte and Federico Asunza. Traveling to LA today, they work in film production. In fact, they are working on this little-known action flick of the 1980s titled Predator. Agustin is an art director and Federico a location manager. Now, if you've seen the movie and paid attention to the ending credits, you will find their names in there. Predator would release in 1987 in their memory. Also on board is a passenger by the name of Graciela Flores, and she is actually a former Mexicana flight attendant. She has some history with the airline, as she walked away from a fatal plane crash in 1969. Mexicana Flight 801 is a story best saved for another day, but what happened that night had a large impact on Graciela, and battling psychological trauma, she quit her job as a stewardess. Today, though, she is traveling with her husband and 2 children to the United States. Their papa is actually on the flight deck, serving as the commander of the flight, which brings us to Captain Carlos Alberto Guadarrama Sistos. The family have planned a brief getaway to Disneyland together, and it's a break the captain has been looking forward to for a while. At 36, he joined Mexicana in 1971 when he was just 21 years old. He first took flight in the company flying Mexicana's old Douglas DC-6s, before swiftly graduating to the Boeing 727 in 1973 as a first officer, eventually becoming a 727 captain in 1978. He has around 6,300 flight hours to his name. He is joined on the flight deck today by 2 other crew members. The first officer, 34-year-old Philip Luis Piaget Rora, has nearly 1,800 flight hours behind him and has been a Mexicana pilot for about 6 years. The second officer, occupying the flight engineer station, was similarly experienced. Angel Carlos Peñasco Espinosa joined Mexicana in 1982 and has acquired around 1,100 flight hours. It's now after 8 in the morning. As passengers are boarding and baggage loaded, the flight crew are running through their pre-flight checks. They've checked the maintenance log where they discovered the comments and corrections from the maintenance team earlier in the morning. Takeoff performance calculations are made ahead of departure. They factor in the weight